Hello, I am Rich Mucci, and I am running for the Winchester Select Board to add a new voice to the town's leadership. And I hope to earn your support in this campaign from one of 2 open seats. I have been fortunate to live in Winchester for nearly 20 years, and my wife Stacy and I chose to raise our children, Ben and Catherine, here because of the character of this community. Stacy is a 4th grade teacher, and we both fell in love with the people in the schools of this town. For close to 10 years, I have operated my law firm in the heart of Winchester Center and have been fortunate to work with many of you in both my capacity as a lawyer and through volunteer activities in the town. I believe the diverse experiences and perspectives I bring as a longtime resident, a parent, a small business owner, and as an active member of the community will serve me and our town well on the Select Board. My community experience includes being a town meeting member, a member of Winchester's COVID Reopening Committee, president of the board of the directors of the Council of Social Concern, member and past president of the Rotary Club of Winchester, board of directors of the Winchester Chamber of Commerce, president of the Winchester Swim and Tennis Club, and most recently, the co-creator of Winchester Together. Through these experiences, I will bring creative, new leadership to the Select Board. Obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic has turned life upside down for all of us. While the national and state governments attempt to address large-scale issues, we need our town government to address the everyday needs of the residents of Winchester. Winchester reacted to the current COVID-19 pandemic by rightly taking advantage of the state and federal assistance and reducing fees and restrictions on town businesses. Now that we have a better understanding of the virus and are on the cusp of a widely available vaccine, we must develop a comprehensive plan for response and recovery. As a member of the Winchester Reopening Committee, I have been a vocal proponent of a town-wide response, community-based testing, and school surveillance testing programs. I am happy to see these programs launch in town. However, town boards must collaborate and coordinate better. We need more joint meetings to develop that comprehensive local plan. Simply put, we need a plan. I will work with my colleagues on the Select Board and lead our work with the town manager, the Board of Health, the school committee, and all of our residents to assess the negative impact the pandemic has had on all of our residents, especially our seniors, children, and businesses. And I will help coordinate a plan that will get us to the new normal as quickly as possible. Recently, I watched as the MBTA boarded up the Winchester Center train station, and I've seen the vacant storefronts in Winchester Center. Both of these sites are reminders to me that our beautiful community is something we must consciously work to preserve. To do that, we must support our local merchants and businesses and come together to keep our center vibrant during this time of uncertainty and disruption. One of our biggest traffic issues is a lack of parking and access to the downtown, especially with the MBTA's Winchester Station construction project. We now expect that we'll approximately lose 150 parking spaces as demolition gets underway. On April 1st, outdoor dining is scheduled to resume, which will help our restaurants weather this storm, but will also claim prime parking spaces. In spite of these well-known issues, the town has no short-term parking mitigation plan for the center. The Select Board must act with a sense of urgency to address the immediate needs of our residents, while at the same time engage our residents and businesses in adopting a comprehensive downtown parking and roadway plan to solve this problem for the long term. Winchester adopted a housing production plan that charts the right pathway for us to increase our stock of affordable housing and empower us to do so in a fair and rational way. This is important if we are going to keep Winchester a diverse and vibrant community, and as a practical matter, allow us to control our growth and keep at bay large-scale 40B development projects that do not meet our needs. In addition, as a community, we have developed a 10-year master plan and a climate action plan that we now must get to work implementing. We need leaders who will follow through on these plans. If elected, I will follow through on these plans. Generating new ideas and creatively addressing revenue sources needed to alleviate the tax burden on residents and continuous overrides while still maintaining top-notch town services and upgrading a rapidly aging infrastructure is a great challenge to the Select Board. As a longtime resident and small business owner in Winchester, I have the experience, relationships, vision needed to generate new economic opportunities for the town and implement unique solutions to long-term challenges. Whether instituting new fundraising initiatives for the Chamber of Commerce, reinvigorating existing social programs at the Council of Social Concern, or refocusing charitable endeavors through the Rotary Club, I understand our community and how to mobilize and take advantage of resources already available to us. I support the Morocco School and Culvert override as a debt exclusion override. The flood mitigation projects over the last 20 years have greatly enhanced the quality of life for the residents of Winchester. The Morocco Culvert is the final project in this series of projects and needs to be funded. The funds for the repairs to the Morocco School are desperately needed for the safety of our children and our teachers. There are no sources of capital for these projects in the near term. Therefore, I see this override as the only option to complete these two necessary projects. If elected, I will use my seat on the Select Board to ensure that we maintain what has made Winchester such a desirable and vibrant community, and to take advantage of opportunities that will increase the quality of life for all of our residents. If elected, I will make the Select Board responsible to you. I am excited by this opportunity to serve our town in a different capacity, and I ask for your vote for one of two open seats on the Select Board on Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. Thank you.
I'm John Stevens. I speak to you today because I'm running in the town election on March 30, 2021. I seek 3-year terms on the Winchester Select Board and in Town Meeting Precinct 3. I ask for your vote for both offices. I thank WinCam and the League for giving me this opportunity to present my positions. I have lived in Winchester for more than 40 years. Mary Sue and I married in 1990 at the Unitarian Church. We live at 44 Vine Street. Our blended family, 5 children, and Mary Sue all attended Winchester Public Schools. For the last 2+ years, I have attended meetings of the Planning Board. Why? The project proposed for 648-654 Main Street, Fells Hardware. The Fells project is a step toward increasing the number of residents downtown. I support that goal, but I do not support the current 4-story project at Fells. Why not? Under the town's zoning bylaw, Fells is in the north core of the Central Business District. The north core runs along Main Street from the Quill Rotary to Stop and Shop. North core zoning limits building heights to 45 feet by right and 65 feet by special permit. The Fells developers sought and received a special permit for a height of 53 to 54 feet. The problem? Any height above the by right maximum has a negative effect on the adjacent residential neighborhood, and on 51 Vine Street in particular. This Planning Board decision ignores the effect of this 4-story Fells project on that neighborhood. We are all interested in so-called smart growth. The Smart Growth website includes the phrase, "Neighborhoods shape our lives." Here, the Planning Board forgot the neighborhood. I have the same concerns for projects planned for North Main Street. This Planning Board decision fails the standards set in the zoning bylaw, and increased business activity downtown depends on more than just residents. We know the parking problems, pedestrian safety. We need lower speed limits, traffic calming, and for crosswalks, better lighting and marking. I am also running for town meeting from Precinct 3. I will offer 2 amendments to North Core zoning. Both will affect zoning on the west side of Main Street only. One will reduce the maximum height allowed by special permit, but only on the west side. The other will limit planned unit developments to the east side of Main. Why the difference between east and west? The east side of Main is bounded by the railroad tracks. The west side is bounded by a neighborhood made up of mostly single and 2-family homes. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. My name is John Stevens. I'm running for town meeting from Precinct 3 and for Select Board. I ask for your vote on March 30, 2021.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Bettencourt, and I'm currently Winchester's Select Board Chair and running for re-election for a 3rd term. I humbly ask for your vote on March 30th. Firstly, I want to thank WinCam for hosting this forum for candidates to connect with the community on issues that affect us all. I think we often lose sight of how essential local public access television is to our local government and residents. While facing budget cuts during the pandemic, WinCam never missed a beat and allowed the Select Board and town to continue to do our job, representing you. This past year has been a difficult one for all of us. I hope this message finds you and your loved ones happy and healthy, and with a bit of hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel of this public health crisis. While every community experienced the impacts of COVID-19 differently, Winchester's response was careful, comprehensive, and forward-thinking. The pandemic impacted every sector of our local government, including schools, businesses, transportation, seniors, and municipal service delivery, to name a few. At the outset, the town immediately established an emergency response team. We partnered with ENCA, Winchester Got Lunch, and the Jenks Center to connect with residents in need and deliver services. We worked with the school district to minimize the virus transmission among students and staff. We managed the financial impact on our community by advocating for state and federal resources and applying them to emergent needs, including food and rental resources, and creating free testing sites at the Jenks Center and Town Hall. While many in our community will continue to struggle, we will be there every step of the way. Our amazing staff in all our departments help move us forward while keeping us safe. While responding to the public health crisis was our top priority, we also were committed to moving forward our agenda, providing excellent municipal services and keeping the trains running on time, as we say. We held town meeting on our schedule, balanced our budget, held local elections, and continued moving forward with projects to rebuild bridges, install new culverts, upgrade the transfer station, and construct safer intersections, to name a few. We continued our commitment to economic development by bringing mixed-use housing to the town center and selecting a developer for the Waterfield lot adjacent to the train station. After years of negotiations and starts and stops, we finally got the green light on a state-funded rebuild of the town's MBTA station. These projects will breathe new life into our town center and our local businesses at a time when they are struggling. The town also established a reopening committee to help connect local businesses to state and local resources and weather the financial implications of this pandemic. This committee added valuable insight into the needs of our businesses and support needed growth opportunities for the future, like outdoor dining and coordinated programming with the Chamber of Commerce. Looking forward, the Morocco School and Culvert Override is the town's top infrastructure priority, and I support it 100%. The town has invested tens of millions of dollars in our flood mitigation program over the past 20 years, and completion of the program will protect the health and safety of families in the neighborhood and allow FEMA remapping of the floodplain and the ability to rebuild the Morocco School. The override also includes immediate repairs to the Morocco School to extend the life of the building until we finish the final flood mitigation project and the Lynch School. In the first year of the override, it will only cost taxpayers $6 per year. This will give residents the opportunity to catch their breath from the economic realities of the pandemic and save taxpayers money from the impact of future escalation costs. The Lynch School project has been in the queue for many years, and the cost of maintaining and repairing the building will soon exceed the cost of construction. Rebuilding now will allow us more flexibility for our youngest learners and add many classrooms as our schools continue to grow. Because the town's operating budget will continue to face structural deficits, we must spend wisely. I support maintaining our existing operational obligations, but I'm concerned that we are not as disciplined as we need to be about defining wants versus needs. Passing an override to create additional revenue only solves part of the problem. Being disciplined about how we spend that money and sticking to our budget is part of where we need improvement. Residents have been extremely supportive of the town's projects over the years, and we must maintain that goodwill by being excellent stewards of those resources. Finally, over the next 3 years, I want to continue to help build a Winchester that works for everyone. I'm concerned that as the cost of living increases, we risk losing a sense of who we are, what binds us, if we are not careful. Creating a caring and connected community means not just being aware of our differences, but celebrating them. I feel a deep sense of responsibility to each and every member of the community as a select board member. Every decision, every vote is one that I make very carefully, and I consider every child entering our schools as well as every senior who has lived here for decades and supported the town. Katie, Grace, Violet, and I have enjoyed every facet of being part of this great community, and we all feel like it's our responsibility to give back where we can. While I am proud of our accomplishments with affordable housing, economic development, flood mitigation projects, climate resiliency, and supporting our schools, there's still much work to be done. Many of the problems we tackle at the local level span decades and require us to connect to our history as we rebuild towards the future. This year has been a difficult one for the community. Many of those struggles are private ones that we don't see every day. As a senior member of the Select Board, I want to help the town bounce back strong and leave no one behind. That means we must affirm our commitment to mental health support, housing and food security, supporting our local businesses, and delivering the best education possible to all our kids. Thank you for your support over the past 6 years, and I humbly ask for your vote on March 30th. Thank you.
My name is Roger Wilson. I'm candidate for Select Board. In the next 10 minutes, I'd like to convince you that I have the best experience and professional background to help the town deliver value for you, your family, and our community as a whole. I will be the experienced voice for progress. I ask for your vote on March 30th, and if my practical approach sounds good to you, I ask you to reach out to your friends and neighbors and ask them to consider voting for me as well. I've lived in Winchester 36 years with my wife, Marilyn. We raised 2 kids here, Ethan and Sarah, both of whom attended Winchester schools from kindergarten to school graduation, high school graduation. Over the years, I have developed a broad record of public service. I've been a town meeting member for 21 years. I served 9 years on the Finance Committee, and I also served on the Personnel Board and the Capital Committee. I'm currently co-chair of the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Committee. In addition to the town positions, I was a founding member of the board of the Wrightlock Farm Conservancy. I also served 5 terms as either vice president or president of the middle school and the high school parent-faculty associations, meeting regularly with 4 different principals. Over the years, I've worked collaboratively with 4 town managers and 4 school superintendents and many other town employees and volunteers across departments, elected boards, and appointed boards. My professional background is also highly relevant to the Select Board. My Winchester-based business partnered for many years with Governing Magazine, a national publication for state and local executives. We provided management training for thousands of state and local executives and published books, such as this page-turner, about how to radically improve government operations. I also partnered with the National Center for Bicycling and Walking in training government officials, advocates, and government vendors about modern transportation infrastructure and policy. My company also served the Safe Routes to School National Partnership as a client. Prior to starting my own company, I worked in the environmental business sector and in economic development promotional programs for state and local governments. Also, I continue to draw on my experience in manufacturing and in construction. Professionally, I have not simply been involved in the topic of local government, but also the nuts and bolts of running a business, creating and delivering valuable products at a profit, meeting payroll, and developing and executing business plans in challenging sectors. That's why I'm confident that I can offer a practical voice for progress. There are many ways my experienced point of view will add to the Select Board's deliberations and create benefit for you and for all of Winchester. I'd like to highlight 3. Let us first agree that progress is not automatic. Local politics in Winchester, when I first got involved, was painfully polarized. I was shocked at the bitter and derisive tone of many public meetings. Many of our buildings were poorly maintained. Many had leaking roofs, which for me, with my background in construction, seemed inexcusable. Town employee morale was low. But voices for progress prevailed, and we moved forward as a community. The results of our collaborative effort included 5 rebuilt schools, major upgrades to municipal buildings, and an ambitious flood control program that will be completed when the Morocco culvert is funded and built. These achievements would not have been possible without sound fiscal discipline, including the creation of reserve policies, capital stabilization funds, and routine funding commitments to those funds, as well as commitments not to divert capital spending to operating expense. A series of successful overrides demonstrated voter trust in the efforts and teamwork of numerous town committees. I'm running for Select Board to sustain our progress. I never want to see again the kind of decay that Winchester has experienced in the past. Winchester is quite well run. I believe it can be the best run town in America. One way I can enhance the Select Board is as an advocate of collaborative, community-focused budgeting and planning. We have good models of how long-term planning can be used effectively by a succession of boards. The school's master plan and the flood mitigation plan are a couple of examples. It is at the Select Board's table that plans and interests are melded together to create a budget and formulate the objectives for our town manager and her team. Proper budgeting is not just about more money, although that often helps. Proper budgeting and planning is also about controlled growth of taxes and controlled growth of fees. It is not just about progress for a few years, but about progress for as long as we can be expected to provide for the future of our town. It is not about level service budgets, but about better service budgets, real progress residents can appreciate. Collaboration is key. Collaboration with other elected boards and with our employees. Collaboration too with our appointed boards and committees. Many plans overlap and influence each other. A good example is the relationship between the flood mitigation plan and the plan to rebuild Morocco, which depends on making the site less flood prone. Such coordination helps us do more with every dollar. Community focus is also key. We need to gauge the best interests of every household. Today's median income in town has climbed to around $160,000, but that does not mean the capacity to fund spending increases is unlimited. By definition, half the households are below that median. A community's spending is not determined by those of greater means, but by those of lesser means. Collaborative, community-focused budgeting and planning is about value. I can help the Select Board more effectively create value for every citizen. The bottom line of town government is not the money we spend, but the value that we enjoy, first and foremost in good schools, but also in all the other good things we receive, including clean water, quick response to a 911 call, safe public ways, flu shots from our Department of Health, enjoyment of our parks and fields, enjoyment of our public buildings, and so many other things. The dollars and cents of town government is what we pay in taxes and fees for all the valuable things we get. I will be a champion on the Select Board of collaborative, community-focused budgeting and planning. A second way I can help the Select Board deliberation is to insist on careful tracking of progress on affordable housing. Our response to this challenge will shape Winchester for decades to come. For a long time, Winchester simply resisted developers who were taking advantage of the 40B law that allows them to disregard our zoning. Now we are making progress. We adopted a housing production plan in 2018. As a citizen, I offered ideas for its development. We achieved Safe Harbor last year with the River Street development. Safe Harbor protects us from hostile 40B developers as long as we can stay on the plan. But more work is needed to operationalize and prioritize that plan. My business planning experience can help turn our general plan into a schedule of action. That is how I will help the town make progress on affordable housing. Lastly, a third area where I can contribute is in continued improvement of public ways and the parking provisions for safety and convenience of all users of all ages. My recent public service has focused in this area as co-chair of the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Committee, and I was involved on an ad hoc basis for much longer. Currently, we have a ways to go in establishing a rolling 3 to 5 year plan to guide our transportation program. Nevertheless, we've gotten a lot done, including the traffic calming work around McCall, a new sidewalk and crosswalk at Morocco, new proper crossings for the Tri-Community Greenway through the town center, and shortened crosswalks and safer intersections in several locations. There is extensive overlap of the Select Board's transportation oversight with the plans created by the Planning Board and with the deliberations of the Capital Committee, again underscoring the need for teamwork. I'm committed to improving our public ways and provisions for parking. I'm serious about helping make Winchester the best run town in America. Running our town well is a way to demonstrate what good politics can produce. Creating the best value for the whole community is my bottom line. That's why I ask for your vote on March 30th. Please encourage others to vote for me, Roger Wilson, for Select Board. I thank you for your interest in Winchester.
Hello, my name is Kelly Cormie. I am running this year for the Town of Winchester's Board of Health. My husband and I both grew up in suburban Boston. We moved to Winchester with our twins in 2012. The driving force for our move to Winchester was the school system. Since moving here, we have loved the community, including neighbors and new friends, have been involved with town soccer, baseball, and basketball, and frequently walk our dog in the Fells. My children have been through Lincoln Elementary School and are now 6th graders at McCall. So, why do I want to serve on the Board of Health? And why now? To answer these questions, I'll start with my background. I have a Master of Public Health degree from Boston University and a physical therapy degree from Ithaca College. Most of my career has been in home healthcare, both in management and as a direct care provider. I started with Winchester Hospital in 1996, and now after several transition and mergers, my employer is Beth Israel Lahey Health at Home. I have been working this year as well through the COVID-19 pandemic. I have the perspective of a healthcare provider, a parent, and a citizen. With over 15 years of management experience and over 30 years as a physical therapist, I have honed my skills in authentic listening, building consensus, and problem solving in a wide variety of challenges, both individual and corporate. Although it appears hope is on the horizon, both with the decreasing COVID numbers and multiple vaccines being dispensed as quickly as possible, moving forward will bring ongoing challenges. On the Board of Health, I hope to facilitate the reopening of schools and businesses as quickly and safely as possible. With this statement, I realize that people will come to this reality on their own time, some more quickly than others. For most, though, this is a priority. With the COVID-19 restrictions of the past year, we have had increasing isolation. This results in both physical and mental health consequences. True for our seniors, our students, and everyone else, these issues will become critical as we go forward. Both social and physical deconditioning will come to bear, and Winchester will need plans to help as we proceed into the next phase. COVID-19 has taken so much of our attention this year, but moving forward, I'm committed to addressing the current and future issues that affect the health of our community. If elected, I hope to be part of a team of innovators, create collaborative and tailored solutions that will meet Winchester's very fluid and specific needs. I am running for the Board of Health with a moderate outlook. I want to get more involved with our community and give back during this challenging time. With my experience, education, and enthusiasm, I will be a great addition to the Board of Health. I respectfully ask for your vote and thank you for your consideration.
Hello, my name is Ruth Trimarke, and I'm running for the Winchester Board of Health. COVID-19 is the most critical issue the Board of Health faces in our immediate future. Safely returning our students to school full-time to reduce the stress that COVID is putting on the mental and social health of our children is of the utmost importance. The length of this quarantine year raises both immediate and long-term concerns regarding mental health issues for all ages, but especially for our vulnerable students. We also urgently need to increasingly open up our businesses to better serve our residents, as well as to protect Winchester's vibrant business community. As a member of the Board of Health, I will bring my extensive background in science and education to implementing CDC and Massachusetts state guidelines to address COVID and strategies to safely keep our schools and businesses open and avoid the spread of new COVID variants. I'm personally living the COVID reality along with all members of our community. An elderly aunt died of COVID early in this crisis. Our daughter-in-law was laid off, and as a mother of 2 and proud grandmother of 3, I am now gratefully caring for our grandchildren due to COVID exposure in their daycare. However, I'm not a single-issue candidate, nor a single-year candidate, and there are many challenges in addition to COVID that the Board of Health will address during these 3 years in office. The state of Massachusetts now identifies a much broader set of responsibilities for local boards of health. There's a far greater emphasis on environmental issues, in particular climate change. Extreme heat is now identified as the #1 vulnerability for Winchester. Asthma, heart disease, Lyme disease, and other emerging new tick and mosquito diseases are growing concerns for our Board of Health. Protecting our water supply from stormwater runoff, reducing air pollution, and preparing our community for emergency health crises due to extreme storms are also now responsibilities of the Board of Health. As chair of Winchester's Climate Action Committee, I led a team of 26 people on 3 different town-appointed committees to write Winchester's Climate Action Plan, with significant applicability to issues of public health in Winchester. I bring a needed environmental balance to the existing Board of Health. I have a bachelor's degree in biology, a master's in education. I have extensive laboratory research experience in molecular biology for over a decade. I was a high school science teacher for 13 years. The expanding role of local boards of health requires expanding communications. I intend to explore options for a variety of informal public forums, perhaps entitled Conversations with Your Board of Health. As one of the members of the Board of Health, I would also welcome opportunities for more frequent interactions with town government to facilitate exchange of knowledge and alignment of actions. Given the increasing expectation that boards of health will be responsive to public input, it's essential that members have a demonstrated capacity to listen and to converse with diverse members of the public. And I have a strong, proven record of doing just that in Winchester. I've been fortunate over the past several years to serve our community in a variety of capacities as a town meeting member, chair of the Climate Action Advisory Committee, League of Women Voters member, Winchester Trails leader, and a former member of the Cultural Council. I'll bring a breadth of experience and knowledge on a range of issues, offering a complementary balance to the existing makeup of the board. This is a critically important election. I need your vote on March 30th to protect the ongoing good health of our community. Please vote for Ruth for the Board of Health. If you'd like more information, please visit Ruth Trimarke for Board of Health on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you to WinCam for providing the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Tom Hopcroft, and I'm a candidate for the Winchester School Committee. I've lived in Winchester for over 15 years and have a deep appreciation of our town. I have 2 kids in the district, a 1st grader at Lynch Elementary and a 6th grader at the McCall Middle School.
One is on an IEP with special needs. So I have a window into special education and mental health supports at both the elementary and middle school levels. As the son and grandson of educators, I have been focused on education throughout my career. I've taught at Northeastern University, and I run a leadership development boot camp for women, tech leaders of color, and LGBTQ tech leaders. So I have a real appreciation for the challenges that our teachers face in the classroom. I was appointed by Governor Deval Patrick and later reaffirmed by Governor Charlie Baker to the state's 13-person Board of Higher Education, where I served on the Executive Committee as chair of the Fiscal Affairs and Administrative Policy Committee. As chair of Fiscal Affairs, I worked with the Mass State College Building Authority on capital projects across 29 campuses serving over 250,000 students. This capital project and finance experience has prepared me well for work that lies ahead with the Mass School Building Authority on the Lynch and Morocco building projects. In addition to finance, I brought a different kind of innovative thinking to the Board of Higher Ed. I remember this one day when the North Shore Community College President Pat Gentile came before my committee to make the case for extending an MBTA bus line from the Liberty Tree Mall to the Danvers campus. Students were struggling, she told us, to find affordable transportation to the campus because the nearest bus lines were over 4 miles away across 2 major highways and not safely walkable. The problem disproportionately impacted lower income and minority students, as white student car ownership was 10 to 15% greater than that of black and brown students. Without a solution, many simply would not have been able to attend or stay enrolled in the college. Recognizing the challenge of adding a bus route, I proposed an innovative solution, which I then pitched to Uber. The result was the North Shore Community College Uber Ride program, a unique public-private partnership offering reduced fare rides for students traveling between the North Shore Danvers campus and public transportation stations. Not only could students now get to and from school, but this data-driven approach was also generating student transportation demand data to help in future public transit planning. The North Shore Uber Ride program has grown since then to include many students who otherwise would not be able to attend North Shore Community College at the Danvers or Middleton campuses. This is the kind of innovative, out-of-the-box problem solving that I can bring to the school committee. In addition to education policy, I also sit on the board of a STEM-focused robotics innovation center, and I chair an education foundation focused on supporting middle and high school girls, including teams right here in Winchester. You see, we work with teams of girls ages 10 to 18 who identify real-world community problems, like how to know if a student athlete has a concussion, or when a student is too tired or impaired to drive. They write a business plan, build a mobile app to address the problem. We provide training, industry mentors, run a poster board showcase, and a Shark Tank-style pitch event. We've even been able to bring some of the Winchester teams down to the State House to meet with the governor, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, and our local elected representatives. A 2017 alumna of our program recently told me that it had, quote, changed her life, and that the experience had inspired her to study computer science in college. And as a result, she is starting a full-time job this August as a software engineer at Microsoft. The opportunity to positively impact and even change the trajectory of a student's life is what motivates me to serve on the committee. As CEO of the state's largest tech association, I also have a finger on the pulse of innovation and future workforce needs. The work of the future is already here, and preparing future-ready graduates requires that we reimagine education to be more flexible, adaptive, and innovative. I work with hundreds of the most leading-edge companies, and I can bring my knowledge and insight as we work to prepare our graduates to be ready for success in today's world. At the core, I'm a community builder, a problem solver, a connector, and a collaborator. I have been helping build collaborations, innovate, and solve problems for over 2 decades. And I have experienced bringing stakeholders together, often direct competitors, around common interests. These qualities will serve us well. As your school committee representative, I will work collaboratively and transparently to address the needs of all of our students. Now, I've been meeting with teachers, administrators, special educators, psychologists, parents, and students, as I feel it's important to understand firsthand where our community is today in terms of both pandemic learning challenges and the longer-term issues that existed before the pandemic and will be with us afterwards. I've spoken with so many families in both hybrid and remote, and have found that students are all over the map. The impacts on learning, social emotional well-being, and executive functioning are profound. I am committed to a full return of students to more regular in-person learning 5 days per week. There is significant learning loss and social emotional trauma occurring for which in-person learning is essential. I'm also committed to ensuring that a remote option continue to be made available and that shortcomings with the model be improved for those whose risk equation favors remote learning. As we move through the reopening process, we need to be data-driven to understand the decision drivers and ensure that our return plan is meeting the needs of all our families so that more parents feel comfortable opting their children into the full return plan. Furthermore, we have an opportunity with data to screen and assess where our students are today in terms of learning loss, social emotional well-being, and executive functioning, so we can establish a baseline, track progress over time, and design programs that can be run over the summer to help students get back on track and be ready to more successfully transition this fall. But there are many details to be worked out, including negotiating with the teachers' unions, developing programs, etc. So we need to get started now. I'd like to touch on literacy. I believe we need to implement district-wide literacy screening, and if we already have this, we need to implement a review to understand why so many students are slipping through the cracks. I'm supportive of the Curriculum Subcommittee's work on performance-based assessments, K-12 literacy, a review of our existing curriculum and the benefits of various structured learning approaches to determine if the latter provides better educational outcomes to all students. Literacy is fundamental to our mission, and I've heard enough parents express concerns to make this an area I will keep a close eye on. As a committee member, we each represent the entire town. Our current school committee, as luck would have it, has representation from each of the 5 elementary districts in our town. I think it's really beneficial when it happens this way to have a member with deep ties to each community to serve as a conduit to be sure all voices are heard. The current Lynch representative is not seeking re-election, and her departure leaves the Lynch community without representation at a critical time when we will be investing $40+ million on building a new Lynch elementary school. It is inconceivable to me that we could have such a significant project in town without direct representation on the committee as decisions are being made. I am the only Lynch parent running. In addition to representing the entire town, I would serve as a conduit to ensure the voices of the Lynch community are heard during this complex capital project. As the parent of a 6th grader at McCall, I'd also like to touch on the need for greater executive functioning support. It's a big step to go from elementary to middle school in a normal year, and we put a lot of expectations on students to develop independence and manage themselves. This has been made a whole lot harder during the pandemic, as students had to also navigate new technology that in some cases their teachers were learning as well. I've seen some innovative solutions to help support our students as they learn to manage on their own, and I've seen many students struggling. I'm concerned for how our incoming 6th graders will manage the transition from this past year into middle school, and for how we transition our current middle schoolers back to full in-person learning, especially those remote 6th graders who have never attended class in the building. In closing, I want to thank WinCam for the opportunity to address you. I bring experience and a steady hand to the committee at a time of great change. We need to transition kids back from a pandemic to a post-pandemic learning environment, support the physical and social emotional well-being of all our kids, rebuild a new Lynch elementary school, hire a new permanent superintendent, and so much more. I'm committed to getting our kids back to full-time learning, starting with the youngest grades this spring. I'm committed to improving a remote option for those who choose it. I'm committed to using data, transparency, and communications to better understand community needs and decision drivers so we can design responsive solutions that meet the needs of all our families. Above all, I'm committed to the safety and well-being of all our kids. And finally, I'll be a voice for our whole town and for Lynch as important decisions are being made, not the least of which is the $40 million new school building. I encourage you to be an informed voter. Learn more about me on my website, tomhopcroft.com, as well as on my blog, Facebook, and Instagram. I respectfully ask for your vote on March 30th. Thank you.
Hello, Winchester. Thank you for taking the time to learn about our candidates for school committee. My name is Seamus Brady, and I humbly ask you for your vote on Tuesday, March 30th for one of the open seats on the Winchester School Committee. I am hoping to bring my 17 years of experience working as a teacher and a school leader to our school committee. After graduating from Arlington High School and Williams College, I was selected to join the Teach for America program and began my career as a special education teacher at a large public high school in Washington, D.C. While teaching at Dunbar High School, I earned my master's degree in teaching special education from Trinity University in D.C. I moved on to study at Teachers College, Columbia University in New York City to earn my master's in school leadership. I have worked as an assistant principal, and special education administrator at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. My experience includes working in schools in Washington, D.C., Virginia, and for the last 11 years in Massachusetts. Currently, I am working as an assistant principal and special education coordinator in Melrose at the Winthrop Elementary School. My wife Anthea and I moved to Winchester in 2014 and are the proud parents of Calder, our 4-year-old, and Larkin, our 5-month-old. Since moving to Winchester, I have volunteered with Winchester A Better Chance, Winchester ABC, as both a tutor and a fundraiser. I currently serve on the board of ABC as the co-chair of admissions. This summer, I was asked to join the Winchester Finance Committee to share my expertise in school budgets, and I have been proud to serve our town in that capacity. I am running because I firmly believe we need current public school educators on the school committee. Our school committee does not have someone who currently works in a public school, and I think that perspective is essential and extremely helpful. My current experience bringing 80% of our students back to school full-time in person and safely is just one example of what I could bring to the committee. I have worked for 5 superintendents in 2 states and in Washington, D.C. Last March, I was a member of the final interview committee for our new superintendent in Melrose. I would bring this important experience to our search for a permanent superintendent. Additionally, my experience building school-based budgets and providing input for district-based budgets, coupled with my current work on the Winchester Finance Committee, would provide additional support to our school system budget, which is the largest department budget in our town. If elected, I would work diligently to ensure the new Lynch School is not only built as soon as possible, but that it is built to be one of the best elementary school buildings in the area. At the same time, I will apply to the MSBA each and every year for support for a new Morocco. Our students and our community deserves that effort and hard work. A new Morocco will be the next priority after Lynch, and we need to make sure there is no delay, as too many families have already waited far too long. I would also work to create a town-wide mentor program to support our high school and middle school students. To lead by example, I would ask each school committee and select board member to take on a number of mentees and meet with them weekly. With proper vetting and placement, I believe this could be a town-wide initiative that would help support many students and allow for better outcomes for our young people. Another area I would hope to address is our literacy curriculum, in particular for our early elementary grades. The program we currently have in place works for many students, but it clearly is not working for a significant portion of our students. We need to revamp and enhance our curriculum to include research-based instructional techniques and materials that will ensure all of our students are reading on grade level before they leave elementary school. As our most recent MCAS scores indicate, over 10% of our high school readers in 10th grade are not proficient readers. This is unacceptable, and the root cause is clearly based in deficits in our curriculum. Our teachers work very hard, and we need to give them the tools to reach all of our students. Communication and transparency are 2 issues that have come up as I have gone door to door meeting voters in Winchester. If elected, I would work with the superintendent to develop a communication plan that central office staff and the school committee could utilize to inform all citizens of what is going on in our schools. Too often, those who do not have students in schools, and even a good number of our current parents, struggle to access the information that they need. The better we communicate about our schools, the better outcomes we will have for our students because our community support will be even stronger. Winchester also has the opportunity to be an innovator and a leader when it comes to public preschool. We currently have a popular preschool that always has more applicants than spots open. However, it is not an option for families where all adults are working full-time, as it runs only until 2 p.m. With a modest increase in tuition and with no cost to the town, we could expand our program and provide a robust preschool experience until 5 p.m. each day. As the state moves towards universal preschool, we in Winchester should lead. Finally, maintaining all of our school buildings is very important to me. As someone who has worked in wonderful facilities as well as inadequately maintained ones, I know that learning environments matter. I commit to walking every building at least 4 times a year with the principals to ensure that our buildings are kept up properly as the investments that they are. I am asking for your vote on Tuesday, March 30th for school committee. If you vote for me, we will have a public school educator who can bring their daily experience working in a public school to our school committee. I will be relentless in ensuring that each and every student in Winchester is successful in our schools and beyond. If any student is struggling, I will continue to advocate for and work with that family until the needs are addressed. Thank you for taking the time to consider all the candidates we have for office. I, Seamus Brady, would be honored to have your vote for school committee.